Here we go. Should be live. Just got to check it out and make sure I'm here. Yes, I am. All right, everybody. 0 viewers so far, so I can say what I want. And then only the people that look back can go, what was he talking about? Alrighty. We got 10 people online. How you going, everybody? I'm just here making an edit to... There we are. I'm just editing the description because I can't do it on my laptop and get everything lined up. So I'm just on a little bit early, get everything working. Hope you're all having a good day wherever you are in the world. Zoe Conway. There we are. I'm here in Galway. Save. There we go. All right. Watch out for that brick wall. Now, it's a very solid wall. It's not going anywhere. It's a tour of my house, and now it has become virtual. Gloria Hayes. Well, do you know what, Gloria? How are you? I'm very jealous because we've had beautiful weather in Galway for all of lockdown so far. But I'm always deeply concerned because in Ireland it's more of a stay of execution than it is actual nice weather. So right now it's cloudy and I'm always worried. And I've kind of feel that May and lockdown and all of that kind of stuff would be lovely if I lived in Florida, where I know that it's going to be really nice most of the time. Nice weather in Galway is more of a accident than it is a given. But I hope you're all well. There's somebody from Texas. Looking forward to Tim Edey. Tim is wonderful, yeah. So I'm excited today. I have an interview with Tim Edey, and I have an interview with, or a chat really, with a wonderful fiddle player called Zoe Conway. Love the new video. The force is strong with this one. Yes, I did. Yeah, Kathleen Schultz is saying that we may have frost in Milwaukee this weekend. I heard that, and Gloria Hayes is not having the same problem. She's turning on the air conditioning because it's so hot in Florida. I just turned on the heat actually because I'm down in a different room and it's a little bit it's a little cooler down here. And I know that Gillian is going to come home shortly and she's going to go, what's the heat on for? Because she's roasting, but she's warmer than me anyway. I am closed caption today. I don't know what that means. Can I turn on closed caption? Jessa Lee, hello Enda. Well, hello back at you. Milwaukee is cold, yes. Yeah, I guess it is. I remember being in Milwaukee last last winter, when that Arctic bomb was hitting the place, and going outside was just unbelievable. Snow in Buffalo this weekend. This is like a weather forecast for wherever you are in the USA. Tell us what the weather is. Nice weather in all of Ireland is an accident, says Chris Keenan, and yeah, it is 100% true. I did my first ever snow drive, whiteout drive in the USA, in 2018, and it was from Erie, Pennsylvania up toward Buffalo, New York, and I have never been as frightened in my whole life. Well, here is a very good question. Is every man with an Irish accent handsome, or does the accent make you handsome? I don't know, but I'm dying to hear what the answer is. Kansas City is chilly as well. I guess it's still well, no, it's May. Kansas should be nice, surely. Something is typing out what I'm saying. Well, as my son says, I didn't do it. Yes, I'm getting. Look at this. This is weather from all around the world. Southeast Texas. I have a friend in Austin, Texas, who said it was 100 degrees in Austin. And who am I interviewing today? So today I have guitar player Tim Edey, fiddle player Zoe Conway. Zoe's a wonderful fiddle player from Dundalk. Tim Born in the UK, lived in Ireland for a while, but a fantastic musician. This is, I'm going to show you a picture just because, well, I was, but now it's after disappearing. Oh, here we go. This is what I've spent most of the week doing. Is sitting here. This is my backyard. So after working out way too much, I'm not working out at all, but I was a little bit too busy in my brain last week. So this week I decided that I was going to sit out here and read Stephen King, and I managed to do it a lot, and I got sunburnt 3 days in a row, including one day on my shins, which is not a nice place to get sunburned. But that's my backyard, and it's wonderful. I like being there. Oh my God, your backyard. I agree wholeheartedly. It's fabulous. Yeah. So that's it. Everybody seems, I hope everyone's in good form. Cafe Elena Saratoga on that t-shirt, yes. And this shirt was designed, you probably can't see it, it's too small, Andrew Benincasa, who made our video for Haven, which you should absolutely go to YouTube right now and check out. What Stephen King book am I reading? Right now I'm reading The Institute, and I am loving it. I've been a Stephen King fan for years and years and years. I'd say my current favourite Stephen King book is Dr. Sleep of all time, because it's such a great read. But I've read all the early stuff, and I read it all when I was a teenager, and quite a young teenager. I think I read The Shining when I was 12 or 13 or something. I was a voracious reader, but it scared the living daylights out of me. And I read Pet Sematary. The movie is terrible. Don't bother is the simple answer to that. And I read I reread The Stand recently, which, if you're feeling bad about the coronavirus pandemic, just go read The Stand and you'll feel great about the world, as somebody pointed out on the timeline just here a minute ago. Dr. Sleep is so good, and I really enjoyed the movie as well of Dr. Sleep. I watched that on our last tour. People ask what we do in the tour bus when we're not talking to each other. Well, we all have phones and so forth, and I watch lots of movies and on planes as well. So Dr. Sleep was a really good one. Gloria Hayes, you do love our backyard, because you were there this time last year playing your hammer dulcimer. I think it was April of last year, and we had incredible weather, and we had a barbecue. Melissa Whitaker says that I have been Darth Vader, so now I can do anything. Yes, I was a little bit concerned that I made the cut for Darth Vader. I have no idea why. All right, I have a couple of really great interviews today, so I'm going to kick it off because they had a lot to say, as always, which is wonderful. And I really enjoyed listening to everybody. So I'm going to start out with Tim Edey. Tim is a really great accordion and guitar player. I've known him for many, many years. We played together with Stockton's Wing about 10 years ago. I had a lot of fun. And we've met down through the years at Flackhills and summer schools in Ireland. And Tim is a very, very kind man. He's very funny. His brain works in incredibly bizarre ways, which I love. And he goes off on multiple tangents, musically and when we're chatting. So I had to do quite a number of edits on this one because Tim was all over the shop in a beautiful way. So this is Tim Edey, and I hope you enjoy this. And I'm here the whole time. I'll be chatting away to your comments. Great. So I'm live with Tim Edey. Tim is a fantastic guitar player and accordion player and melodeon player. Originally from County Kent in the UK and now living in Perth, not in Australia, but in Scotland. And has over the years many, many times lived in various places in Ireland. How are you doing, Tim?
Enda, I'm doing great. You know, it's a joy to be here with you, and I'm looking out on your lovely Galway garden there, which is
good.
lovely.
That's because it's raining. It makes everything look nice and green.
Makes everything green. It's lovely. No, it's great to be on the show, Enda. It really is. And I'm here in Scotland. I can't really show you, but the hills are sort of the hills are over there. The Oakhill Hills. We were living in Donegal, as you might know, up until about a year ago, and geez, we'll be back. We'll be back.
So you're in golf country right now, right?
I'm in golf country. I can look out, and Mr. Colin Montgomery is. I can't call him a neighbour, but he does live in the area.
So does he know that he lives next to you? That's the important question.
Well, and did you know something? I have an awful feeling he doesn't yet, but you know what? I'm going to write to him. He should know.
So,
I'm only joking.
I'm going to get you to play something right off the bat because I'm really excited to hear you play. So what are you going to do?
Enda, do you know something? It just, you know what I'm like, Enda. We've played together before, and you know how mad the Edey is. I'm one of these players, Enda. I play whatever comes into the head. And do you know what came into my head? The view of your garden there, and just something mad. A little beautiful tune, Kill Cash. Remember Kill Cash? You would have probably learned this at school, I imagine, when you guys. I'll maybe play a bit of Kill Cash. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. I'll leave that to Begley. And after that, I'll maybe brave a very cheeky hornpipe. If my Corona hands, Enda, I was telling you there, I'm suffering. I don't know if any of your viewers have had this, but the constant washing of hands has cracked my knuckles, and so if I make any mistakes, blame the Corona.
I haven't cracked anything, but I lost both of my turquoise rings from my hands becoming so dry from washing and disinfecting the whole time.
Oh no!
I have to go back to the US to buy more.
You have to buy more, yeah. But let's try a bit of Kill Cash and join in now if you know the words. Join in. You might give us a note. I mean, everybody else had the Corona.
I haven't cracked anything, but I lost both of my turquoise rings from my hands becoming so dry from washing and disinfecting the whole time.
Oh no!
I have to go back to the US to buy more.
You have to buy more, yeah. But let's try a bit of Kill Cash and join in now if you know the words. Join in. You might give us a note. Do forgive any mistakes. Don't tell the folk police I played that chord. Ender, I do apologize. I should probably do that again. My tuning is so bad. I do apologize.
That's wonderful.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Ender, I'm so sorry. It's really funny because I was just saying to you there, when you're a musician that's we're not touring, we're not doing any gigs apart from the odd sort of Facebook one. And what I'm finding is, I apologise there because my strings are stretching, but I haven't been changing my strings like I usually would. I would do it once a week, even on the classical, on the nylon guitar, and I haven't been doing that. And so this guitar now, I'm very naughty. When I do my little Facebook thing, I usually plug into an amp, which gives it a little. But you know what? I apologise there. I shall play you the hornpipe in a second when
Yeah,
we've had a
wonderful.
chat. But and I should tune this old guitar. But a little bit of Kill Cash there. And I thought it would be a nice little tune just for the morning. But if you want me to do an outtake, I will.
Well, the chat that we had before we went on air, Tim, that had more outtakes than
Did it?
we could never publicize any of that stuff. That was
Oh
great.
no!
That's
Oh,
just
Jesus.
private. Anyway, you have played with a glittering array of stars over the years, from the Chieftains to Capercaillie. The list is endless. Now, we know each other from many years, going to Flack Hills and Willie Clancy and all that. And
Yes.
most recently, we both played with Stockton's Wing,
Yes, we did.
a band steeped in wildness and incredible success and mad stories.
Mad stories and a history, great history, yeah. From God, Enda, from stadiums to didgeridoos to fretless bass.
To James Taylor, amazing stuff.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, do you remember? I loved. I only did a few with you guys, and of course, you played with them for much longer than I did. I was sort of. I was just. I was so honoured. In fact, it was broadcast. Do you remember the gig in Scotland? That was on the
BBC Alba. Yeah.
And I just. They're great memories, and they're really.
I did their first comeback gig, which is at least it must be 12 years ago now, and it was in Ennis, which is their hometown, and I've never experienced anything like it. 3,000 people, but the fervor was just off the charts. It was incredible, and I was so nervous because I was filling in for Kieran Hanrahan and mighty big boots to fill,
Absolutely. And when you were growing up, would you have listened? You would have been a Wing, of course. You would have been a Wing fan. And of course, I was one of the. Well, I'm as anybody some of your watchers or listeners, if they know my music at all, they will know that I'm Cooney is Steve Cooney, my mentor, and of course Steve was a big part of the Wing, of course. I know he left. When did he leave? And he was in it for.
I don't know, but he wrote a lot of the really famous tune pieces. Yeah,
he did. And yes, so I mean, when I did it, I got a blessing as well. I was given a sort of given the thumbs up to do, because I was quite nervous, but it was a wonderful experience. And of course, Mike is an engine room, isn't he? Mike Hanrahan has the engine room of creativity,
Yeah. So how did you, living in Kent, get attracted to A, Irish music, B, the guitar, Steve Cooney, all of these greats? How did all of that happen?
Yeah. Well, do you know? And so you're absolutely right. I was born in Kent. Kent is a little county in England. It's if you look on the map, we're the closest county to France. Although unfortunately, sadly, because of this, well, I won't mention politics, but the awful Brexit. The dreaded Brexit, which of course I am deeply opposed to, of course, but I would have grown up about 20 minutes from Dover. I'm sure you've heard of Dover. In fact, you've probably travelled through it many times. It's if you're ever going to the continent. So I grew up there. My mum was born in Ireland. She was born in Dublin in Terenure. She grew up sort of in Wicklow and Bray, and she grew up in Cork City, right at the top of Cork City in Grona, which is way up the top, and so she would have left Ireland. Sadly, she left when she was about 9 or 10 years old, and they did the classic thing. They came to London for work. They spent about 2 years in London, and my nan got very sick, and my nan was a really proud Cork woman. She in fact she lived in Kent until the day she died, but oh my God, you would hear her a mile away. I mean, she was Cork. She was from Shandon. She grew up near Shandon and Shandon Bells, and you'd hear her in Kent. You'd be walking down the street with her in Kent, and she had that wonderful Cork accent. It was brilliant. But anyway, yeah, they moved back again to Ireland when I think Mum was 12, and unfortunately, that move sadly didn't work out, and that's why she ended up settling in Kent, and the family sort of grew up. I was born in '79, and my dad is the guitarist as well. I mean, he's not a professional, not a professional player. He could have been, but he would be very much somebody into his gypsy jazz, kind of Django, all that kind of stuff, But he also loved sort of folk music, a bit of English folk, Fairport Convention, James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, the kind of usual stuff. And but my mum and my nan and granddad, of course, had a brilliant sort of expat, if you like, Irish record collection with everything from Foster and Allen to the Chieftains. Loads of Chieftains, Chieftains and James Galway, all the classic sort of old albums, and also then as I got a little bit older, when I was maybe, I guess around the age of, I'm guessing now 12 or 13, we got more into wider Irish music like Didanan, Frankie Gavin, Matt Malloy, because of course we didn't, it's a weird thing, Enda, but I did go to lots of Flachiols and stuff, but where I grew up, was certainly not a hotbed, if you like, of traditional music. You know what I mean? It's it was very big for Morris dancing, which is something I shall yes, I shall yes, as well. Oh, say no more, say no more. But but you know what? I try. Enda, don't tell anybody who. And in fact, Jesus, everybody knows this. But I tried it once.
Did you have the bells on your shoes and all of that?
I did, yes, I did, and the white handkerchiefs, I did.
We've done a few English festivals, and there's always Morris dancers. And
oh, always. Like
thing.
you with the banjos, with the wee banjo, you've probably done Sidmouth and Cambridge and stuff like that, and you'll always see it. And I mean, and the funny thing is, I mean, do you know what? I know it's a great thing for them, and I suppose it's their sort of
reason to come out of the closet every year.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Exactly. It's
I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, it's. I must admit, I was if in a funny way, Ender, and I'm allowed. I'd be allowed to say this on air because it's not a secret. But I was very much the odd one out, if you like, because I lived in a town where there was quite a lot of Morris dancing going on in that area, and of course, I was a kid who was just obsessed with like Martin O'Connor and Dermot Byrne. I mean, Sharon Shannon. All the great box players. And Seamus Begley and Cooney, and I just rebelled. I was trying to learn how to play Blackbird when all these guys were playing English music. So I was the baddie, if you like. But do you know what? Ender, it's so funny to this day. And we did listen to quite a bit of Scottish music, Capercaillie, the Silly Wizard, Phil Cunningham, all that stuff, and also a little bit of English stuff, Fairport Convention, Martin Simpson, people like that, But Irish music to this day, it's so funny. And for a guy who was born in Kent, I mean, I've got an Irish passport, I suppose, because Mum's Irish. And I feel very. I've always felt more Irish than English, but I mean I am an Englishman, but I'm Irish with an Irish soul. that's and I just, oh God, Enda, I just love it. I cannot. It's bizarre. I think I feel it. I don't know what it is. I feel part of your nation, and I've always been made to feel part of it, and that's a lovely thing. Such a lovely thing. You guys actually.
It helps
Sorry.
You're really good, Tim.
Oh my God! Well,
what's your? You've done so much. Is there a couple of gigs that stand out as being just wonderfully amazing?
Do you know what, Enda? That's a very good question. I'm so lucky because I say this and I don't say this I don't say this lightly because I'm somebody who's always as you probably know, and I drive people mad because I'm so passionate about I'm still a massive Begley and Cooney fan, even though Begley and Cooney stopped playing about 20 years ago. But I've still got all the I've got the posters and and I just I don't know. I just love it all, and I was very lucky. And I mean, a couple of gigs. God, that's such a difficult question because I mean, I've been so lucky. I've played with, like you mentioned, the Stockton Swing. Played with yourselves. A lot of my heroes. Dougie MacLean and the Chieftains. Brendan Power, Sharon. I used to dep for Jim Murray a lot when Jim was away with Begley. I used to get the call to play with Sharon, and that was an incredible experience, of course, because she was the person really who, well, I always say she saved my life because when I was 15 I had what you might call a nervous break, well, an emotional breakdown, nervous breakdown. It's all the same. And I had terrible sort of bullying at school, and that resulted in me getting terrible OCD and agoraphobia, and I didn't. God, Enda, it was a dark time. I left school at 15, and the one thing kept me going was a tape. It wasn't even a CD. It was a cassette of the first Sharon Shannon album. You remember the green one? And of course, the guitar player on that, of course, was Steve Cooney. And of course, I just listened to that every day, and I just couldn't get over it. And you know what? To this day, everyone says to me, "What's the best natural antidepressant?" And I say Sharon Shannon, literally, because honestly, if I feel and I'm lucky now, I got over all that stuff, and but you have everybody has ups and downs in life. And whenever I'm feeling a little bit low, I just listen to that album, because it's like a medicine. I just love it. And that pretty much, and I would say that the highlight, oh God, this is difficult. This is so difficult. But am I allowed to be very naughty and say 4 highlights? Do you know what? I'd say there are too many. I mean, because I could easily say the gig in Glasgow with yourself and the Stockton, but there's been so many. One of them I would say was I got a phone call 8 years ago from Paddy Maloney to I thought it was somebody winding me up. Honestly, I really did. But I knew Matt. I knew Matt a little bit. I played in Malloy's, and I played with Matt maybe once or twice, and got to know Peter, the family, well. And I got this phone call. It's Paddy here, Paddy Maloney, and I said, Paddy? I said, oh my God. I said, no, you're kidding me. It's somebody. This has to be McGoldrick or somebody winding me up. But God, it was Maloney, and he said, Tim, he says, I love your playing, and would you join the band on a US tour? Oh Jesus, I couldn't believe it, because the Chieftains are literally like my. I mean, honestly, when I was 10, this is no word of a lie. When I was 10, I was growing up in England, and I had a poster of the Chieftains on my bedroom wall. I mean, everybody else had, Carly Minogue. I had Paddy Maloney. Easy down, and so Trina Marshall, the harp player, Trina, it was really Trina, I think, that sort of got me the gig. It was Trina had spoken to Matt, and I think Artie or Steve weren't able to do a tour, and they wanted somebody who could maybe sort of influenced by both those guys to play. And of course, I'm a huge, I'm a very good person at emulating. I mean that I don't mean to sound that. I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but that's how I learned to play Enda. I would listen, for example, to Steve, and I would learn, the chord by listening, and until I could play it a little bit like maybe he could. Not as I'll never ever be anywhere near his level, but I try my best. But the second gig. So the first one I'd say was the Chieftains in America, New York, the Town Hall in New York on St. Patrick's Day. Oh my God, Enda, I'll never forget that. I was crying, actually. The band probably don't know this, but I was crying in happiness, because I just couldn't believe that somebody from Canterbury in England was playing guitar for the Chieftains. I couldn't believe it. Holy God, The second one. I've done a lot of gigs over the years with Seamus Begley. When Jim was away and Cooney stopped playing with Begley or whatever. A few of those gigs have been wonderful. Jesus, it's so difficult. This one of my standout gigs, I think, where I knew I played. I was happy with my playing. Michael McGoldrick. I go back a long way with Mike. He's a bit like I suppose he's a bit like a sort of older brother. He's like my elder. He advises me on everything, even on being a dad. He's a wonderful man. I love that man, and he's done so much for me. And we did a gig one time in Shepley. I think it's on YouTube. Somebody keeps telling me there's videos on YouTube, and it was in England. And that gig, we hadn't played together for about 2 years. We hadn't even seen each other. But he's one of those people, Enda, and you know Mike. He's one of those people that you don't really need to speak to every day. He's just somebody that you know what I mean. You just sit down and you play, and it just happens. He's a special guy. And Jesus, the last one, and this is so difficult because honestly, I could easily. Oh my God, this is very difficult. I mean, Brendan. I should probably mention Brendan Power. We've had some wonderful gigs. But I suppose
the mouth organ player, right?
harmonica. Yeah, he's amazing. But do you know what? Oh God, it's very difficult. And then Frankie Gavin. I played with Frankie for a couple of years. But I've got to say, no, one of the highlights, and was the first time I came to your city, to Galway, and I was on tour with the Sharon Shannon band, Liz Kane and Yvonne Kane, and you remember the Woodchoppers, and Jim Murray was away, and I got asked to do the gig, and oh my God, Enda, it was terrifying. I was so terrified because I'd never been to Galway, and we played in the Roisin Dove. And John Dunford was doing the sound, and of course I was a big fan of his mixing because I knew his name from, of course, looking at her records, And it was a big deal, that. And she picked me up at the railway station. I'll never forget it. She picked me up in a little Ford Escort or something. This was I think it was in 1999 or 2000, year 2000. She picked me up, and I'd met Sharon a few times, but we hadn't really got to know each other like really, really well, and we just, and that for me was like meeting me fairy godmother. And we just hit it off, and in fact I ended up living with her. She was my landlady for a year, which was an incredible another amazing experience. So do you know, Enda, what I must say about, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, but about you guys in Ireland, I've been all over the world, and you know what, Enda, I love Scotland, don't get me wrong. Scotland's a great country. It's been very good to me, but and England, but Ireland, and I honestly, I could land in Ireland today. Well, I wouldn't be allowed to, of course, with Corona, but I could, and I would meet somebody who I know, who knows you or Frank or anybody. It's just it's an amazing country. I mean, for anybody listening who's not been to Ireland, you need to go as soon as O'Leary lets us travel on Ireland.
It's still a very small community, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's a small country, but it's a great community.
It's a small community, but it's you've got a kindness in your, and you've been through so much. I mean, Jesus, we as Begley used to say, the 800 years. You've been through crazy things, crazy awful things. And here's me, an English guy play. My mum's Irish, of course, but I was born in England, but I've been welcomed in everywhere from Belfast to Derry to Galway to Dingle to Donegal, you name it. And we left. Sadly, we left. Long story, but we left Donegal about a year and a half ago, and Enda, I was in tears leaving. I was in tears, and we kind of had to come back for a bit. But I've always said we will at some point come back to Ireland. I don't know if we'll be in Donegal. Maybe we'll be in Connacht. Maybe we'll move down to Galway. Enda, I'll be driving you about. Me and you could go surfing together in yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But Enda, I've got to tell you, now. Listen, I'm not in the wee banjo. Remember the time we had a wonderful time together at Natalie and Donal's festival in America, in Canada. Sorry. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but to your viewers listening, Natalie McMaster, a legendary fiddle player from Canada, and Donal Leahy, great player. And do you remember that time, Enda? And I had the best time playing with you. I got to play with you guys. That was amazing. And also, I've got to tell you one thing about the banjos. Now, Enda, listen, you're very naughty boys because you gave me very bad influence. Check out this, Enda. Come on. Okay. I got the earring, Enda.
Well, I got this in Oregon because David Howley, we were going for dinner, and Dave just goes, "Come on, let's get your ear pierced." And I was like, "Sure, why not?"
Enda, it really suits you. It looks great. And Enda, unfortunately my ear story is not quite as exciting as Oregon. I was sitting down, Enda, with Isabel, my long suffering partner. She's Scottish. She's a never mess with a Scots woman. Oh Jesus, she's a she's a great woman. She's through there with the kids. And I sat down and I said to Isabel, I said, listen, come on, everybody's got earrings. John Doyle, Enda Skyle, Mick McCauley, Martin Simpson, all these players. I said, it's about time. I feel like I need to have a different image. So after Boxing Day, I went I went and I got the earpiece. Geez, Enda, I'm not joking you. Did you lie down when they pierced it? Did you have to lie down on a bed?
I don't think so. I think it just sat there.
Enda, I nearly needed oxygen. I nearly passed out. But you know what? I love it now, and you know what? I think I said to somebody, I said the first week I had it, I said, do you think this? And we were just having a coffee, in London, and I said to a good friend, I said, tell me the truth, how do you feel about my new image? Do you feel it makes me look a little bit, like a tough guy, And they said, Tim, do you want the opinion? No. And since then I've come to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm going to keep it because I love it, and yours looks great. Sorry to talk about personal appearance. But listen, back to the music now. Enda,
back to the music. Are you going to play that hornpipe?
Shall I play the hornpipe? Yeah. Now, Enda, I think after Kill Cash, I do apologise to your viewers because it is early in the morning here in Scotland. It's well, in fact, it's it's 1 in the afternoon. But it's that's pretty early for Scottish people, Oh yeah. But let's play a little hornpipe. Now it is early, so my fingers are a little bit cold, but we'll try a little hornpipe. Okay, so here we go. So a little hornpipe here. As I used to say in Connacht, a confirpa. Confirpa. That's right, isn't it? Confirpa. Yeah. I have no idea. I've no idea of the name of this, but we'll hope for the best. Okay. Nearly.
There you go. Oh, Tim was so much fun. And the mad thing was, we were chatting away, and then I was trying to wind up the interview, And Tim just keeps talking, and he was inviting me for chips, fish and chips in McDonough's fish and chip shop in Galway, and then we were talking about Facebook Live, and there was no natural end to the interview. So I was like, when I was looking at it back, I was like, let's just play Tim playing the guitar. But what an incredible guy. It's lovely to chat to somebody and then to watch it back and to enjoy it even 10 times as much listening back to it, because he's got such an infectious laugh, and he's such a really, really nice, kind, and he's very, very open-hearted, and he's an incredible musician. He's just a really great guy, and loads of lovely comments coming in. Everybody likes Tim. So on Tim's Facebook page on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock Irish time, which would be 5 o'clock Eastern and 4 o'clock Central, Tim plays music, and he often goes for 3.5 hours. And as he said himself, he just plays, and whatever comes into his head, he keeps playing. It's incredible. He's an amazing musician. So, right. Last week I had a banjo video with Jerry O'Connor and Damien O'Kane, and I decided to do it again. So I got Marcus Maloney. Marcus lives in Ennis. He's from Limerick originally. An incredible banjo player that I used to compete against in the Flackhyols, the music competitions in Ireland, many, many years ago, and I never beat him. He always won. So Marcus is in there. Graham Armstrong on guitar from the band Talisk. And because I heard them on Facebook during the week, Finn Byrne from the Byrne Brothers. And I hadn't heard Finn since last summer when we were out on tour in the US. And I caught a bit of their video last week, and his banjo playing was superb. So I said, why not? So this is the definition of a cluster pluck. you go. It gave me a great new appreciation for what Frank Marchand, our sound engineer, does when there's 2 banjos playing, and having 3 banjos playing at the same time. It's a lot. But the thing about it is that we were guaranteed that we hit all of the notes, because at least one of us was going to hit the right note at some stage. And I think we managed fairly well. For those who have used editing tools like Final Cut Pro, getting banjos to line up together is the definition of a nightmare. But it was great fun. It was great fun, and thanks to the lads for doing that. Rather than me playing sad, lonely solo banjo in front of a camera through a microphone and out the speakers of a laptop, I decided I'd get other people to play with me, and I'll have to do another one for next week. Here, look at, I made this. Like and share. I have no shame. But while you're here, hit the share button. Why not? It flashes on and off. I'm loving my new technology. Now, I am going to go to the second interview this evening. Again, had a wonderful time chatting to this fiddler. Zoe Conway is highly renowned in Ireland and across the world as an Irish fiddler and as a classical violinist. And she's one of the few, I think, that has incredibly successfully bridged the gap between traditional Irish music and classical, and to be able to do both with integrity and to play Irish music in its truest sense and classical music in its truest sense. And so I had a lovely chat with Zoe, and so here we go. All right, so I am live in Galway with a wonderful fiddle player from Dundalk originally. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Zoe Conway, very, very well known internationally, particularly in Ireland, as both an Irish fiddler and with great classical chops as well. So delighted to have you here, Zoe.
Thanks so much, Enda. Thanks for having me.
How's lockdown life treating you?
Oh, it's good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm sure you know yourself, like it's a big change, having no concerts to go and play. But I suppose it's a blessing in a way, because we can spend so much more time here at home, tidy the house, and spend time with the children. And we've just got new kittens as well, so we're enjoying all of that. It's brilliant.
Have you discovered a newfound respect for teachers?
I have. Homeschooling is a whole new thing for me, and my goodness, it's full on. But our teachers, we're from a very small school, and they're amazing. And they send little videos, they do their teaching themselves, and then the kids sit down and do the work that they've been set. So I just have to supervise, really, which is great.
So how many kids have you, and what ages are they?
We've 2. We've Owen, who's 11, and Fiona, who's 9, a girl and a boy.
Oh, yeah. So they're practically raised.
Oh yeah, they're great. Oh, they're brilliant. They're able to cook and everything. So we're loving it, to be honest.
So by the time we get through the lockdown, you'll be just able to go away for a weekend and leave them on their own. They'll be fine.
Yep.
All right. So do you tour a lot under normal circumstances? How many months of the year are you away? How does that work for you?
Yeah, we tour a lot. I play with my husband, John McIntyre, who's the guitar player. That's the main thing that I do. And we probably do, about, 50 to 100 concerts a year. So we do plenty of traveling. We play in France and Germany and Italy and Spain and England and Ireland and a little bit in America. And it's lovely to get to play with John and to tour so much. So it's a big change for us to have no concerts.
Yeah.
And but we don't mind, and it's nice to have a bit of creative time at the minute, because it's very hard to compose stuff when you're on the road, and when you're performing, you don't want to perform stuff that you've just written. So it's time to kind of live with some music and see.
How do you find making time in the house to write or with kids and kittens? Is that a challenge? It's
a bit tricky, and we were really lucky with the timing of this, because we've actually built an extension that is a kitchen. So we now have an old kitchen, which is a tiny little room. We're in quite an old house here. And then we now have our new kind of much bigger kitchen. So the little old kitchen, as soon as lockdown came, we went into like overdrive, just getting it ready as a kind of a small studio. So now we have a little extra room that we never had before. So it means that one of us can go in and work compose, catch up on stuff that we should have recorded a couple of months ago and get it sent off. And the other person can do the schooling and the cooking and minding the children, and then we can swap over. So I mean, it's not perfect and it's not ideal. We haven't quite mastered the art yet, but we're trying to work on it, and I think it's definitely more creative. Just the slower pace of life is more creative, and being able to get outside more and to kind of react to our environment here. I mean, the weather's been so amazing, so I'm finding it much more creative than my normal life.
Okay. Did you feel a huge pressure to be online a lot more? I know that I certainly did. It was like we came home in the middle of a tour, and then suddenly it was like, oh my God, the whole world is doing Facebook Live and concerts. And I don't sing, I just play banjo, and nobody wants to hear solo banjo, particularly me. And I'm like, what am I going to do? You know? Did you find any pressure? Somebody described it as the opposite of FOMO, was fear of missing out. This was like fear of not doing enough online. It was a whole new one.
I don't. Well, it wasn't so much a fear, but I suppose it was around St. Patrick's Day, wasn't it, when we got locked down, and I felt that we should do something on St. Patrick's Day. So we did two videos. We did a family video with our kids, playing music and dancing, and it was absolutely brilliant. But of course, we don't want to share that on Facebook. So then we did another one as a duo that we feel we can share with the world. So we had brilliant fun doing that, and I suppose. I don't have a pressure to create content. I don't feel like I need to put up something every day so that people will follow me. I feel that the better our music is and the more beautiful the output, then you're naturally going to get people to follow you and to like the music. So for me, the priority is to try to create beautiful music. So I'm not that pressurized into recording stuff. However, like everyone and their sister has been asking us to do videos. Like, would you mind doing a video for, my little group on Facebook who do whatever? And I don't like saying no. So I have a list as long as my arm of videos to do, and we've actually done a couple today. So we're working away. We're trying and I mean, we love playing, we love performing. So it's not a big stress to record a couple of tunes and send them on to people.
Yeah.
So it's totally different, but it's good fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a new form of creativity.
Yeah,
The
it is.
the online stuff, yeah.
And you're reaching people there that you wouldn't reach in concerts, because not everyone goes to concerts. And actually, I think people need music in their lives, and they maybe haven't realized it until now. And suddenly, this fresh new content of music, of people playing in their sitting rooms, is the number one thing for people to do to feel uplifted. And I think that's a brilliant thing, because I think more people will engage with music in the future, hopefully.
So you have a very wide musical breadth, which is kind of the same word twice. So you do some classical music. You played with orchestras. You're playing with your husband John,
Yeah.
and you're also very lucky, in my opinion, to get to play with Martin O'Connor and Donal Lunny, who are two of the absolute legends of Irish music. It's like the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and getting to sit in between the two of them.
That's exactly what it's like. I mean, I'm so delighted that that's the way you feel, because I'm exactly the same. Um, how lucky am I to get to play with Martine and Donal? I mean, they are just unbelievable, and I don't know how that happened, I'll be honest. And I feel like it's unbelievable to be on stage with them, and to be even at the end of a phone to either of them is an honor. So I mean, it's a total dream, and I really appreciate it. I love every moment of playing with those two. They're incredible. But equally, getting to play with orchestras is just unbelievable. I mean, I've always wanted to be a violinist. I've always wanted to be a fiddle player. It's the only thing I've ever done. I never had a normal job. It's my total life. But I never would have dreamed that it would have ended up like this, the way it has. And for me to be on that level is just mind blowing. I mean, really.
So, in a technical sense, how have you managed to bridge the gap between the strictures of classical music and Irish music? I know from knowing your family that I believe the Irish music came first. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So, my mum and dad, both of their fathers played traditional Irish music and loved music. And so music was in their houses, but they never had the opportunity to play an instrument, my mum or my dad. Um, So when they had children, it was their number one priority in life was to give music to their children. So we all had to learn music, whether we liked it or not. Um, so I have four older siblings and three older siblings and one younger. And my three older siblings, by the time I was born, they were already brilliant musicians because they had done so much practice, so much work. So I was literally surrounded by traditional music, surrounded all day and all night. It was just like endless. And I'm really lucky that actually the CDs that my father had, or LPs or cassettes at the time, were really beautiful CDs and LPs and recordings. And that really formed my soul of music and what I really love. And then when I was about 8 or 9, I started to fiddle, traditional fiddle, and I was watching the TV, and there was a girl who was about 12. She's called Leila Gosopoulos, and Yosopowitz, and she was like a virtuoso child performer, and she played the most incredible Sarasate pieces on the violin, and I'd literally never seen classical violin before. And I said to my parents, I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. And Dad went at that stage. I was fairly big, like 9 or 10. I know it doesn't seem big now, but at the time I felt very big. And he tried to get me classical violin lessons in our area in Dundalk, and a few teachers wouldn't take me on because they said, look, you really have to start at the age of 6, 7, 8 at the latest. 9, 10 is just too old. So they wouldn't take me on as a student. So eventually Dad found a violin teacher called Sheila Thompson, and she's really incredible teacher, very, very gifted. And luckily she took me on as a student. And because I had all this traditional music already, I was already quite a good musician at that age, at that stage. I really flew at the classical music, and she saw that there was a potential there for me. So she offered to take me every day for a lesson. So I went to her house every single day, and I had a violin lesson. Some days it would be 45 minutes, but some days it might be 2 or 3 hours. So, I mean, it was total immersion in classical music. And she also had this incredible foresight that people should watch the greatest musicians when they're learning and listen. Now, I don't know if you know, but most classical musicians don't learn like that. They learn off the notes, off the sheet. So I was watching, like, Itzhak Perlman, for example, my favorite violinist, and millions of others, on these videos, VHSs that my teacher had, hearing them performing, and then I would just copy that. The same way that I learned traditional, to be honest, like listening to Frankie Gavin and Cathal Hayden and, everyone who's brilliant in traditional music. So I really took to classical music, and I really loved it. And I loved the discipline of it. I loved practice. I played every day for hours and hours. Like as a teenager, like when I met John, my husband, I went to a brilliant teacher in Dublin called Maeve Broderick, who would be one of the top teachers in Ireland of classical music. And when I met John, we started going out. I was actually touring with Rodrigo y Gabriela at the time. And so it was kind of wild times, and there was a lot of music. But when I had a lesson with Maeve, I would say to John, I can't meet you for 5 days because I have to practice. So I would literally close the door and practice 5 hours a day for 5 days, not go anywhere, and then go for my lesson. And, years later, John actually met Maeve, my teacher, who was in Killiney at the time. And he burst out laughing because she's a tiny little woman. She's really old, and she's a really beautiful, soft woman. And he was like, this is your teacher that you were afraid of going to. Like, I mean, what was that about? But anyway, very long story. But yeah. I just loved classical music. I was totally, immersed in that world. But all the time keeping traditional alive. So, I mean, traditional is my main thing, as you know, and my main love. But for me, having both of them was just so brilliant because it developed technique and control and, tuning and power and all those things that I love. I am very particular about my sound. So it's been a long journey, to get there. But
that's amazing. Yeah. It's an incredible dedication. Of course, the whole 10,000 hours thing, but it sounds like you did that in a week.
Yeah, there was a lot of hours, lot of hours. But, now, I mean, I say this in all of my workshops to younger musicians, don't be afraid of practice. you want to be good, you've got to do it, and actually you should enjoy it. And now I don't really practice at all. Am I allowed to say that? There's no practice
No.
going on anymore. But it's just as well because I've got kids and I've got emails and I've got all sorts of stuff going on. So I got it all out of the way very early.
Yeah, I mean, in the Irish music thing, when kids were playing at Flack Hills and they're going to the Willie Clancy Week and they're, just playing sessions and out all of the time. I mean, it's so easy to build up that huge repertoire and all of the hours of practice. I mean, I practiced when I was 8 or 9, but from then on I was just playing the whole time. So it was as good as just constant practice. But I always felt that the classical thing, because I did piano, which I really didn't enjoy because I hated the strictures and the rules. Yeah. And I tried classical violin and I just didn't have the patience for the squeaking. So I just gave up that bad idea. Back to the banjo. I never put in the time. It felt much easier to put in all of those hours in something that you love, like Irish music. For me, which was really easy.
Yeah, it is easy. And like in traditional music, you have those structures that allow you to have those hours, like the session. I mean, when you start playing in a session, suddenly 5 hours have passed and it feels like 40 minutes. I mean, literally, it is as if time flies. Or a time stands still. I don't know which, but it's incredible that you can play for 5 hours and not have noticed. And that happens so much in sessions. So that's all money in the bank, as my daddy would say. It's all practice, and whether you notice it or not.
I knew your older sister Lisa.
Yeah.
And you had a brother who played the flute, and I was thinking all day, and I couldn't think of his name.
He's Patrick.
Patrick. Yeah. And we used to meet up all of the time at the Willie Clancy Summer School, and like they were really well known as being like top class musicians. Yeah.
They are absolutely brilliant. They're still brilliant. So I mean, my traditional fiddle playing, really, I learned from my sister Lisa. So like she's a good bit older than me. So when I was born, I just picked it up straight from her. Do you know what I mean? So all of her repertoire, all of her style, the way she goes. She went to Rose O'Connor, Jerry O'Connor's mother, for traditional fiddle lessons. So that's who started her on the road. And actually, Rose O'Connor gave Lisa a scholarship to go to the Willie Clancy Summer School in Milltown Malbay. So that's when we started going over to Milltown. I was only 1. So I've missed, that was my first year at Milltown Malbay, and I missed 1 year because I had some concert on that I couldn't get out of. And this year it has been cancelled just today, the summer school. So we were all like sending each other big crying messages like, oh no, it's cancelled because we can't go. It's our big family holiday, but hopefully next year we can all get back to it.
Yeah. Is there anything about the music business or touring specifically with family, I'm thinking, that you find difficult? Like, do you do long tours? Do you go away for 3-4 weeks at a time, or is it largely kind of weekend stuff and then back and over? How does that work for you?
Well, we did longer stints before we had children. And then once we had children, because we're husband and wife duo, it's very difficult because you can imagine the mother and the father are both away. And so we've decided to make a maximum of 5 nights or 5 days away, so 4 nights. So any agent that helps us or any like promoters or any festivals, we just have to say that at the start. So it would mean that we rule out a few tours that are already structured as 30 nights or whatever. We just can't do that at the moment, maybe when we're a bit older, but at the moment we just can't. But it does mean that we don't have that, it's gig 22, like, I'm going to really make this a good gig, which is a total blessing, as you know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like we get 3 gigs in a row and then we're home again, or even 1 or maybe 2. So it's more of a holiday and it's much more enjoyable. Yeah. And that is a privileged position because, we know how it is. It's not easy being on the road, and it also has to make financial sense. So by the time you pay for a flight to Germany and 3 hotel rooms, 3 nights in a hotel and a car and an agent and a sound engineer, the costs all add up. So it has to financially work. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to do it. Promoters and so on. So, and venues. So we've really have been fortunate that we've managed to find that little balance, perfect little ecosystem where everything just works, and we were able to do the 3 concerts and come back home. And my mother is our main childminder. So when we go, she comes to our house and she just does all the stuff that has to be done at home. So the children are so used to that because that's all we've ever done, and that they barely notice. And one time they went to my mom's house for a holiday while we were away. And when we came home after the 4 days, we went to pick them up and we were all giving them hugs and nearly in tears and everything. And Fiona was like, "Could we just have one more hour, Mommy? Just one more hour." They just love being there, So it works out really well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Will you play something for us, Zoe?
Oh yeah, I would surely.
Yeah.
Warm up my hands. I mean, this is kind of, the first piece is kind of serious, and the second piece is a bit of a bit of crack, I suppose. And I played it first actually at the Willie Clancy Summer School, at the fiddle recital. And so these are 2 pieces that I composed, and the fiddle's in a different tuning, so it's like E A E A.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought of it because it's kind of a little bit old timey, and I thought you'd kind of be into that.
Oh yeah.
And so the second piece kind of takes a lot of those classical techniques that I was talking about and uses them in a traditional way. So the first piece is called Wild Strawberry Hill, and the second piece is called The Horse's Tail. 2 pieces that I composed.
Wonderful. Amazing. So we thank you so much. It's so good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So people can find you at zoeconway.com and zoeandjohn.com. And hopefully when this is all over, we'll cross paths down the line sometime. Would love to play music with you.
That'd be fab.
Yeah.
And best of luck to you as well. You're in the same situation at the minute.
Yes, and need the whole world. The whole world.
Yeah.
So.
I know.
Zoe, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe, Slán.
Bye.
There you go. Wonderful Zoe Conway. Fabulous fiddle player. And Zoe and John are on Facebook, and they do some live streams as well fairly regularly during the week, so you should definitely check them out. They're fabulous musicians. And Zoe's husband John is a guitar player, and he's exceptionally good. It's really great. Thanks everybody for being here this evening. Loads of comments. I've been getting around to all of them, so I've enjoyed it enormously. I'm getting better at the fandangos, so I was listening to a podcast today while I was mowing the lawn, and a quote came up in it that I thought was great, and it spoke to me, so I'm going to leave you with this one. Oh, and I'm just going to flicker this on a couple of times first. Like and share. We appreciate the shares. We thank you, and thank you all for being here. We really do appreciate it. So I'm going to just leave you with this quote, and Fergal is up on Friday. So make sure to tune into that. His house concert last week was incredible. I have no idea what he's doing this week. It could be hanging upside down from a tree that he cut himself. God only knows. No doubt it'll be incredibly inventive. Thanks all for being here. Like I said, was mowing the lawns earlier, and I was listening to a podcast, and this quote came up, and I loved it, and I'm going to leave you with this, and I'll chat to you next week.